Hello, today we're going to look at finding the area of a shaded region. All right, so there are a couple steps that we need to know for this. We need to find the area of the whole or the outside larger shape first, and then we're going to find the area of the unshaded or the smaller inside figure. For both of those, we're going to write our formula, substitute, evaluate, and label. And then we're going to subtract the smaller unshaded area from the larger whole figure. And in the end, just remember that label, and it's going to be in units squared. All right. These look like things you should write in your notes, so you've got some steps. So why don't you pause the video and write those down. All right. Let's take a look at this one. I've got a larger shape and a small inside shape. All right. The shaded region is the larger shape minus this inside. So we're going to start off with our whole rectangle. All right, the formula for that rectangle is base times height. So I'm going to have that area is 20 times 15. 20 times 15 gives me 300, so the area of that whole thing is 300 feet square. And then I want to find the area of this smaller unshaded shape. All right, so that's a square. Our formula again, base times height. So 7 times 7 is going to give me 49. This smaller one is 49 feet squared. To find the area of just the shaded without this part then, I'm going to take my 300 minus my 49. All right. So 300 minus 49 gives me 251 feet squared. Let's look at another one. Here I've got a parallelogram with a triangle inside of it. All right, so I have to remember my formulas. The parallelogram formula, it's just like a rectangle. My formula is area equals base times height. All right, so I've got 12 and my height is 8. So 12 times 8 gives me 96 inches squared. So that's the whole parallelogram. That would be including this triangle on the inside. Then I need to find the area of that triangle. Remember, the formula for the triangle is 1/2 base times height or base times height divided by 2. All right, so I'm going to have 1/2 of 6 times 7. And 7 times 6 or 6 times 7 gives me 42. 42 divided by 2 then is 21. So that's 21 inches squared. So the area of the shaded region, I'm going to take my 96 minus 21, and that gives me 75 inches squared. All right, you try one. All right, pause and solve this one. All right, let's take a look. What you got? First, that whole rectangle is the 6 by 8. That would give you 48 feet squared. That inside rectangle then, the non-shaded, is 2 times 4, which is 8 feet squared. So the shaded region then is going to be 48 minus the 8, which gives us 40 feet squared. Hopefully you got that one. Let's look at another one. Now we've got a circle. All right, we'll do one together. This one's a little tricky. All right, I'm going to use 3.14 for pi, and we're not going to do any rounding. So first, I'm going to look at the entire shape, that circle. So I'm going to use area equals pi r squared. All right, my radius is 4. So I'm going to have 3.14 times 4 squared. 4 squared is 16. If I take 3.14 times 16, I get 50.24 yards squared. All right, now I want to look at that triangle. I only have one measurement here though. But if this is a radius, then this must also be the same distance. This must also be a 4, right? So now I can do my base times height divided by 2 because I have 4 times 4 divided by 2. That gives me 16 divided by 2, which is 8 yards squared. So to find the area of the shaded region, I'm going to go 50.24 minus 8, and I get 42.24 yards. Yards squared, sorry. All right. Let's look at another one. All right, so you're trying to find the area of the shaded region here. Again, use 3.14 for pi and don't round your answer, otherwise you won't see the same answer that I get here. All right, let's look quickly at this though. I only have one measurement here, right? 14 centimeters. Notice that this circle is touching on all sides. That means that this 14 centimeters is also going to be up there. So that is my diameter. If my diameter is 14, my radius is going to be 7. All right, so why don't you pause and solve this one. All right, so let's see. If I have a square for my outside shape, then I'm going to have 14 times 14, which is 196 centimeters squared. That circle then, pi r squared, remember my radius was 7, so 3.14 times 7 squared is going to give me 153.86 centimeters squared. So the shaded region is going to be 196 minus 153.86 gives me 42.14 centimeters squared. All right, we're going to look at this one tomorrow in class, but I want you to write this all down in your notebook. All right, see what you get in your notebook. We'll go over it tomorrow in class, so pause and solve this one. All right, and one more we're going to go over tomorrow in class. Finding the area of the shaded region. Again, write down all of your work in your notebook so we can go through it together. All right, so what did you learn or were you reminded of, and what questions do you still have about solving the area of a shaded region?